Hello, this is the Grain of Salt Morning Show with Jordan.
Jared.
Kale.
He's joining us by Google Hangouts again. We don't have Kaylin this week. She's in full con mode making her costume for MomoCon?
Yes.
MomoCon. So today we're going to be talking about Deadpool 2, talking about the Billboard Music Awards, film festivals here in Georgia and around the world because there's candies going on, and just anything else we can think of. So, and we were going to talk about the Batman Ninja. We still may, but that was kind of Kaylin's topic. But we may still touch on it because, by God, that was a thing.
It was a thing.
So, Kale, why don't you go ahead and start us off talking about your experience at the Georgia Film Festival that you went to this weekend?
I only went in the afternoons on Saturday and Sunday to see the stunt panel, which was always great. Which is always great because they always like to perform nice stunts, or they like to show clips of like their demo reel kind of cut together of action scenes, and they like to have fun. And then we saw the UNG short block number 2. And all the shorts were in, but the one that really stood out was Halfway. Now, Halfway won I think it was the jury award for best film, for best UNG short film. So it was a great film.
Was that Alyssa Coleman's?
What?
Was that Alyssa?
Alyssa. No, it wasn't. Alyssa Coleman did win an award for staving off intention or something. I can't remember. I'm sorry, Alyssa. Sorry. But she did. Her movie did win an award, and then Gary Ivey won for A Fistful of Fangs.
Oh my God!
And then you didn't see what?
Yeah, I did some of the costuming. The cowboy hats and the ponchos and stuff were all mine.
Oh, nice. It was. I got to see class, and it was really good. But Sophia Halfway. I'll look up the full name in just a second. But Sophia's movie Halfway was brilliant. It's all in one shot where they just go around up and down or side by side a room with a girl who's basically clinging on to life in basically a purgatory.
Gotcha.
Purgatory-like state. And some of the other standouts were Tyler Brown's movie. And yeah, I'm sorry if I'm blinking on the titles, but Tyler Brown did a movie that was basically an experimental short of a couple, like they were being mugged and ultimately shot. It's like the very first scene of Batman v Superman. The director of Halfway, by the way, going back to that, is Sophia Estelle Kamak, I think. I'm sorry, Sophia, if I butchered it, but her movie was the one that won. And then I had a movie that was playing in that short block too. It was Death of A, and apparently people really liked it. And I'm not saying that just to boost myself. I'm saying people did come up to me and say they really liked it. And then a lot of stuff was really good. But it got better. It got really great at the end. And that's what I'll say about the UNG student were you
able to watch the trailer for Dead Winter, which is a film that me and Jared
yes.
Yeah,
yes, think? It looks great. Oh my God, it's fantastic. It's an intense trailer. I think it's either coming out today or it's probably coming. It's going to be out by the time this podcast comes out. But it's fantastic. It's wonderful.
It'll be out nowish.
Yes. Yes. But the other films we got to see were Shifting Gears from the director of Dead Winter, Jason Wynn. That was a family movie, family, father, son, car bonding, racetrack movie with a great cast of character actors, and it was solid. It was fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not the big family picture person. For how much it cost, and also for the amount of time they had to film it, it's really well done. And then the other movie that played with the Dead Winter promo trailer still was very well done. Was very well done. It's a beautifully shot movie. Kind of like spoilers. It's kind of like Tuck Everlasting, but the dark and gritty version of it. If you guys remember that movie.
No.
But
fun fact, actually,
no.
Years is that Jason McKenzie wrote the coverage for that 8 years ago.
Really?
Which is hilarious because two part-time professors at UNG actually shared a connection 8 years ago, and they don't even know.
Really interesting.
It's like
so some of the things we were gonna hit on past this with the festivals. I was unable to go, although Kate was able to go to the entire event because she hosted it. She was doing a lot of the AV tech for it, and she said a lot of the shows were really well done. A lot of the movies were really good.
They were.
There was a lot of people there, from what I heard, and I hopefully will be able to go next year. I know me and Jared are trying to go to the Terminus Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be later next month. And if we do, we'll try to get some coverage. I'll try to get some GoPro footage and behind the scenes stuff if I can. But I'm excited for Dead Winter to come out. We worked really hard on that, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm the assistant editor on that production, and we currently don't have a editor yet, but there is talks of it being possibly edited by alumni and or by Moonshine Post-Production in Atlanta. So we'll see where that comes out. Why don't we go ahead and move on to Deadpool 2? I figure that will take up a big chunk. We're actually going to have an interview with one of the filmmakers at the end of this that I'll be tacking on so you can hear. I did this earlier in the year, and we'll be listening to an interview with Ethel and her crew from one of the short films. I don't know if it was at a festival, but they've been working hard on it, The Piece. And so we'll talk about that. Was that shown at the festival?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But then again, it might have been shown on Friday.
Well, that will be added at the end of this episode. Next week, we'll actually have an interview with Jared. That will be adding on to the end of the episode. And after that, we'll have a filmmaker, John Michael, on the next episode of that. All right. So let's talk about Deadpool 2. What was your initial thoughts, Kale?
It's really funny, but like it really is. Like there are inside jokes throughout the wazoo. I mean, you really have to see this movie 2 or 3 times to get even 50% of what's going on in the movie. And but with that said, I can't deny I appreciated the simplicity of the first one, where it's really, because if you remember the first one, it's just him. It's just a love story. It's just a love story of him getting back to Vanessa, his girl.
Yeah,
that's the kind of simplicity of it. And Deadpool 2, it's like I said this on Twitter last night, or maybe this morning. But I think Deadpool 2 is kind of like what Batman Returns was for the Batman franchise back in 1992. And I say that because Deadpool 2, it's very convoluted and it's very complex. And there's a lot going on in a less than 2-hour plot of the movie. And this is the non-spoilerly list. You got Deadpool getting over a loss. You have, him building X-Force. You have him, you have Cable and everything that's going on with him. And you have the introduction to Domino. You're still continuing the banter of Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And then you have I don't think this is a spoiler, but Negasonic Teenage Warhead also has, she's in a relationship in this movie. I mean, there's this, and then you have the antagonist of the movie and everything that's going on in the with that character, and it's a lot going on in one movie, and I think the film just kind of loses sight in that when it's decided to have a very serious arc of the film. Because while I appreciate them trying to have a serious arc and trying to give Deadpool something to grow as a character, I think a lot of it got lost when we got to the third act. Because the movie really had me until right when the third act started, and then things started kind of just not coming together the way it should have. And then the ending, I felt like got drawn out too much. And then the end credit scene, while extremely funny, it is a ball busting, laughing. It's a ball buster of a joke. It also has problems because it kind of makes the whole movie pointless.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to cut you off there just so we don't go into too much spoilers.
All right.
Give my review of it.
Yeah, this is my non-spoiler review.
So I think with the film, I think it was really well done. I laughed a good bit in it. I actually had spit take at one point. For those of you who have seen it, it's the Basic Instinct scene. Those of you who haven't, you'll understand when you get there. And I just think there's so many references to the Marvel movies, to DC movies, to Deadpool itself, and there's just so many that you can't catch all of them. And I had to go back and rewatch the original one to even get it. There's one reference that this won't spoil anything for you guys. In the first movie, he references that there's a thing of cocaine and the cure for blindness in the woman's apartment. And then later he has 2 balls of cocaine and one says cure for blindness on it. And it's like, if you didn't watch the first movie, you would not catch that shit. There's a lot of stuff like that where it's like they took every little thing he said from the first script and they go, let's make sure we remember this. And it's like, it's funny as hell. And they're very thorough. I give them that. They're quite thorough. I also feel like the action in this movie was portrayed better. If you remember the first beginning action scenes, Kale, that they're more fluid than the first movie. The first movie, they were heavily CGI'd and they felt clunky. And the newer one, they all feel. He even makes a joke about it. It's like, that guy's really on fire. It's like they actually went through and did the effort of getting props and getting stunt doubles and getting all that done. So that way it felt more organic. Because the first movie, that car crash that we saw over and over again, and trailers and online articles and YouTube, it was so much CGI. It felt like we're playing a video game, So I quite like the game.
Yeah.
Great characters. I would want to see a Deadpool 3 or an X-Force movie if that's even possible. I also feel like every theorist on YouTube basically got it wrong, and I find that hilarious that Deadpool went 5 minutes in, took a left turn, and then they went on a pleasure cruise. So, Jared, you haven't seen the movie yet. You're going to see it soon. What are your expectations for this movie? What are some of your predictions, and what do you think? Because you haven't seen it yet.
My expectations for this movie are like, I've been a big fan of Deadpool since I was young. It's because he's such a good, quirky character that kind of resonates with like the kid in everybody.
Yeah.
And he's just, and now the adult in everybody. I knew that they were not going to do the same thing that they did in the first movie, because that's just the nature of Deadpool, that you don't know what he's going to do. So it's kind of null and void for all these people to do theory videos, because if I'm expecting at least 2 fourth wall breaks, minimum.
Probably like in the first 30 seconds.
Fair. But when you say like they make like a sharp left turn within the first 5 minutes, everything makes sense. Like that's not surprising to me, and that's something that I would expect. I would expect them to do a lot of things like the trailer itself. If you look at the 2 trailers between the first one and Deadpool 2, they kind of look like two different kinds of action movies. Like one of them looks more like this one looks a lot more Mission Impossible like, where like there's a lot more chasing, there's a lot more camera movement tracking. Whereas in the first one, it had the kind of uh, what's his name? Oh my god, Jason Bourne. Had more Jason Bourne cuts in it, where it looked like the action was a lot more supposed to be impactful. So I could even tell by just looking at those two that it was going to be two completely different movies. At least that's my
Interesting. Interesting. So to answer your question, Jordan, there is X-Force movie coming out before Deadpool 3. And it's going to be written and directed by Drew Goddard, who did The Cabin in the Woods. And it's supposed to be coming out real soon. Right? Probably around 2020.
Interesting. So, I mean, the other part I want to talk about this movie is big, and they even make a joke about it in the movie about the first one, that it beat Passion of the Christ in R-rated domestic box office. This movie is getting pretty popular and pretty big, like the first one did. Do you think this is going to be set precedents, like we said last time, for more R-rated superhero movies? We had Logan,
Please.
which was on the verge of being like, it's R-rated, right?
Yeah,
Logan?
it's R.
Yeah, but it was still a tame
Yeah.
R. But I think I want more like this, because like superheroes forever had a golden age, right?
Mhm.
And we had bronze, gold, silver, also like that. And I feel like the beginning of Marvelous movies were, and Batman movies was the gold age.
Mhm.
Everything's PC, everything's lighthearted. The first Iron Man movie, like the most you got was a little bit of blood on his face whenever he fell. It exploded a truck and you never saw a body, right?
Mm.
Yeah, they shoot people. There's no blood splatters. It was just people fall down. That was the golden age of superhero movies, where it was like, we're gonna show people fighting, but no one's gonna be like exploding and stuff. Then you got to the Silver Age, where you got to the new Batman v Superman, where there's like a little more grittier, a little darker. You had the Captain America Civil War, and the what's the second one? Winter Soldier. It was a little darker, a little grittier.
Yeah.
Show a little more action, bigger fight scenes. And I felt like that was Silver Age. We're getting a little grittier, a little darker. And then you get to the Bronze Age, where I feel like we're kind of at now, where, in Infinity War, a lot of people's contracts probably ended there. You know what I mean? It was like, it didn't end, but you catch my drift for people that haven't seen it. If you have, you'd understand what I'm saying. And
it's been 2 weeks.
And then you have like Deadpool, which is heavily R, Logan R, and you have the Justice League movie, which was a laughing stock. That one doesn't even fit into this category. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, we moved from being very PC, aiming to be as comic book friendly as we can, to now where it's like we're making a film. Yes, the reference material is meant for kids, meant for teenagers, but like we're making a film. And let's be honest with ourselves: if someone gets shot, they're bleeding. They're not shot on the ground, coughing a little bit, and then die. And I feel like that realism gives more of a moral standing for heroes. Because if your hero shoots someone and they fall down dead, you're going, okay, the hero shot like a bad guy. But if the hero has to stab someone and they're looking them in the eye and there's blood there and they feel that remorse, you're like, this guy's a human and he's going to have fucking PTSD when he's done. And you feel a connection with a hero because you're having to go through that with them. It's traumatic, but you know that like he had to do this because he is a hero. He had to kill such villain, and the villain had such motives. He had a reason of doing a thing. Thanos, believe it or not, is a reasonable villain.
I loved Thanos throughout the entire movie. I'm like, yo, this man gets me.
But also
He's the protagonist.
Think about this, like the villains in Ragnarok, they have their own motives and they have their own drives, and they switch sides and they do things. And then Black Panther, the villain in Black Panther, Killmonger, he's not wrong. He just
He
doesn't.
wins the moral argument.
Yeah, he wins the moral argument. And you go, well, you know what? And then what's the guy's name? The guy with the weird hand. Claw?
Oh, Claw. Ulysses
Yeah.
Claw.
I loved him as a villain.
He was
and
nice.
he was weird, quirky, evil, but at the same time you look at him and you go, you know what? I'd have a beer with him. And it's like
Fair.
the villains are becoming humanized.
See, another thing that we need more of is how like Killmonger actually influenced T'Challa.
Yeah.
He went to his father and said, "You are wrong."
Yeah.
Like he'd been raised to know one thing, and then he had a revelation. He changed as a person because of the villain, not because he needed to save somebody,
called
but
a ca-
because he understood the villain's point of view.
It's called a character arc.
Exactly.
And the first films didn't have that. At the beginning of Iron Man, what is he? He's a rich weapon dealer. At the end of Iron Man, what is he? A rich weapon dealer with weapons attached to him.
Well, I actually don't think that Tony Stark was the best person because out of everybody, I think he has the greatest character development of any of the
Over
Marvel
time,
superheroes.
yes. Over time. But in the first movie, he didn't. And Captain America, love him to death. He's a great character. But he goes from a plucky New York kid to a plucky New York kid that got
that's
Bowflex.
That's the correct one.
You know, skinny kid to kid with a Bowflex that's still in the military. Either way, it's the same. And you look at Thor. The first
Fair.
one, arrogant Asgardian.
But his
At the end of it, he's an arrogant Asgardian with a human girlfriend. Like the first ones, there's no character changes. They just introduced the characters. In the other movies, they did do a character arc. And Thor has now become one of my favorite Marvel hero in the cinematic universe because he's got so much depth to him, so much trauma. But like those first original movies, there was no change, you know? And like the Batman movies, the original trilogy, I love them to death. They're great. Well, not the original trilogy, you know what I'm saying? Like the Nolan ones.
Yeah.
They're great. They have a lot of things going for them. But it took 3 films for that character to change slightly, you know? So, I mean, at the end of the last one, he's like still Batman. Even though he retires, he's still Batman. And so it's like we need that character arc. And then Deadpool, as we were talking about it, he does change a little bit. You know, he goes from thinking all about himself and thinking about the person closest to him to thinking about other people as people and how to affect them and how to help them. Yes, it is a comedy action, you know, a weird movie, sci-fi. It's all different kind of genres. But he has a character arc. He actually changes, in a weird way, but he changes. You know, and I think that's what we need in these movies is where heroes can be impacted by their villains, and the villains can be impacted by their heroes, and consequences exist, and they're not just like, at the end of the day, I'm just getting rid of one of my CEOs that took my tech. You know, it's like, if I don't do this, people are going to die. You know? So I think
Jordan, I agree with you on Deadpool 2, but all the other Marvel Cinematic movies, like the one you just mentioned with the first Iron Man, I completely disagree. Because with Thor and Captain America, their arcs kind of grow. Particularly Captain America, his character arc is over the trilogy of the Captain America trilogy, and then Thor changes at the end of the first movie because he learns wisdom. He learns, wisdom and humility, which is something he didn't have before. And but I mean, I can say that, also, but I can say to your point also that applies to that it applies to characters like Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, but then again, we don't have any overarching trilogy arc to kind of base off of what they're going to do. So
that's true. We're Ant-Man 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and maybe the character will grow more in Ant-Man 2, especially after the events that he was involved in with Civil War.
That's a good point. Jared just brought up a good point. So Ant-Man 2
is happening before Infinity Wars Part 2.
And also, timeline-wise, is it it's before Infinity War Part 1, right?
I don't know.
Because
That's one
I
of my.
think it's like right around the same time, like maybe like a day or two before, and then it probably ends like right when the events are happening.
Yeah. And then you have Miss Marvel, which is taking place in the 90s.
Yes.
So they're like the thing go way back, please. With the other Marvel movies, other than Captain America, every movie's been pretty much chronological, as in time frames of like this happens and then this happens and this happens, and some of them take place at the same time, but they don't interact with each other. Like Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange, those kind of like they bleed in a little bit, and like you can tell which time frame they're set in. But we haven't had any that are like, well, we've been watching this timeline. By the way, here we go back to the 80s. Other than like, a flashback in Black Panther, but it didn't have any effect. You didn't see other heroes. So for them to go back to the 90s for Miss Marvel, and for this movie to be like, I know what you just saw is traumatic and probably gave you nightmares, and you feel like you need to drink a little bourbon, but we're going to go back a few steps right before that happens so you can experience it all again. So that's what I'm thinking there.
Yeah.
Why don't we go to the Billboard Music Awards? We'll hit on this, and then if we have any other news, we'll talk about that or not. We'll end it and we'll go to the interview. So the Billboard Music Awards were last night for us, and we have our artists and winners, and we can discuss that. So the top artist, Ed Sheeran, won, beating out Kendrick Lamar, who's on a high since we talked about Black Panther. He was on the album for that. Also beat out Drake, Bruno Mars, and Taylor Swift, which I noticed there, Ed Sheeran's the only one in that group that really produces something other than pop or rap.
And it's Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, it's also Ed Sheeran.
It's Ed freaking Sheeran.
What do you think on that, Kel?
Listen to a lot of music. I do listen to Ed Sheeran from time to time. He did the song for Desolation a while back.
Mm-hmm. He did.
But yeah.
So for new artists, Khaled won. Is that DJ Khaled?
Yeah.
Also, an artist that worked on Black Panther.
Oh yeah, he did work on that one. Billboard Chart Achievement Award went to someone that I don't know, and they beat out some other people I don't know, other than Sam Hunt and Ed Sheeran and Drake. See, Ed Sheeran won Top Male Artist, which he beat out pretty much the same people that he did before, except there's Post Malone was an option on that one. Taylor Swift won Female Artist, even though I don't know what the hell what did she come out with this year?
Look What You Made Me Do.
That came out this year?
That came out last year. Late last year.
Doesn't deserve the award for that.
Exactly.
Top duo group was Imagine Dragons.
Yeah.
Or top duo / group.
Yay. Yay for Imagine Dragons.
I agree that Imagine Dragons is really good, but Chainsmokers was fire this year. They had multiple really good songs come out. And I don't understand what the hell U2 did to this year.
U2 released a new album, but
whatever. Top Billboard 200 artists, Drake won that, beating out Kendrick Lamar, Ed Sheeran, and Taylor Swift. So, Hot 100, Ed Sheeran won again. Top streaming songs, I don't understand how that's.
It's probably like number Spotify.
Gotcha.
Or like top Spotify artists.
Kendrick Lamar won that. Top song
That's
sales.
probably because of Black Panther.
Yeah. Ed Sheeran won again.
Perfect.
Top radio song.
Perfect.
Ed Sheeran won again. Top social artist. BTS, which is a Korean pop / rock / they're a little bit of everything. They're a really cool band. I suggest you listen to them. They're very fun to listen to. They got great dancing. Watch music videos. They put a lot of effort into them. They put tons of effort in Korean music videos. They're fun to listen to. They're cool to work out to. My sister loves the band. I'm glad they beat out Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande and Shawn Mendes and Demi Lovato. Like, they deserve to get that spot.
Yeah, they're also, like, if you remember from New Year's Eve, they were the Korean band that came over, and that was like the big thing because that's the first time that's ever happened. So they're also groundbreaking.
They were on the Ellen Show. They're on the Late Night Show. They're They're growing a lot of popularity here in the United States. I definitely go recommend listening to them. They just came out with a new album. It's fire. It's great. It's so good. Even if you don't understand what they're saying, because they are Korean, they do speak some English.
Despacito was a hit song last year. Y'all can listen to
Yeah,
this.
if you can listen to Despacito, you can listen to this. It's really good. It has a lot of emotion, and a lot of places on YouTube will have the lyrics underneath, and so you can figure out what they're saying in English. Top touring U2 one?
U2 will never stop touring.
No, it will not. R&B Bruno Mars. I can agree with that.
Figured,
It'd be a weekend though.
but it's Bruno Mars.
It's Bruno Mars. R&B is male Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars.
I don't even know who the female artist is. SZA.
Listen, it's the three contenders are Beyonce, Rihanna, and somebody who's not those two. So I'm glad they won.
Fair enough. Top R&B tour Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars.
Top rap artist Kendrick Lamar, which I'm pretty sure just attributes to Black Panther, and he has come up with some other stuff, but like that whole album was fire. I also have no clue what Lil Uzi is.
He's a rap artist. He's okay.
If he's not, a
I
midget, I'm
understand the
disappointed.
hype, but he's not me. He's not my rap.
If he's not a midget, I'm disappointed. Top rap male artist Kendrick Lamar. Top female Cardi B.
Cardi B.
I'm butchering
Cardi B.
names.
Whoever the hell.
Rap tour Jay-Z. Has he come out with anything recently? He's been doing so much stuff with his wife. It's hard to tell which one's actually making the songs. You know,
You're right.
but he is touring. I like some of his music. I don't know anything about the country artist at all. I'm sorry. If you guys like country, good on you. I like good country, but I don't know what's going on in that whole world. So, top rock. Imagine Dragons.
This is kind of interesting to me because for the top rock artists this year, we have Imagine Dragons, Linkin Park, Portugal the Man, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and 21 Pilots.
And two of those have the dead lead singer.
You right.
So they couldn't get
But
the
let's-
awards.
We have Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers going up against Portugal the Man. We need to have a kind of new definition of like
Rock.
because I believe 2 years ago Cold War Kids won
Yeah,
and they're not rock.
they're like pop.
They're like pop alternative. A lot of these things are pop alternative and they're just getting like thrown into these categories. And really the only two I could see here, I can see Linkin Park as rock. I can see Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, of course.
But 21 Pilots is
21
rap.
Pilots is not rock.
They're alternative rap something.
They're
But
21 Pilots.
the only time I've seen a rock artist that won, and I'm like, yes, they are rock, was Jack White a few years ago, where he won top rock album. That one was like, yeah, of course. Of course. He owns Third Man Records, a rock album. They also do comedy, they also do folk, and they also do blues. But either way, he deserved that one. And like going on to Latin artists, that's now a category. I didn't know that was a category. I don't know anyone in it. Chainsmokers won top dance electronic artist. I can agree
That
with
makes sense.
That makes sense. Christian
Kilda?
artists, Mercy Me? What? Okay, go. There's gospel. Kendrick Lamar won top album for Damn. Period.
Damn.
I mean, it seems like the same people won over and over again. Top soundtrack, Moana won, and they beat they beat Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
They beat The Greatest Showman.
They beat The Greatest Showman and Black Panther. Fast and Furious was on that list, but I understand why they lost. But Moana, like, listen, Disney, I know you got the game down on musicals. I know that is your bread and butter since the dawn of time, but they beat out.
I watched Moana and went, okay, this was nice. I watched The Greatest Showman once and bought the album.
Moana, I like Moana. It's a great story. But
It is.
feels-
It's great.
It feels so copy and pasted from other Disney movies.
It's generic.
Pocahontas.
It's not that impressive.
Don't get me wrong. I love the culture they showed. I like the music was great. The Rock did a wonderful job in there, but it's not award winning. I don't feel like
It's a great movie. It's
it's
just
a great movie.
how
yeah.
did that make it in? That came out like almost 2 years ago.
No, it came out the beginning of this year, didn't it?
No, Moana came out in 2016.
Yeah, Moana came
No,
out in
it did not come out in 2016.
Yes, it did. Did the album just not come out till
Yeah,
2017?
It came out in 2016. I guess.
How did that
not.
make it on the list?
That's a good point. How the hell did that get on the list?
How is it not on last year's list?
To be fair, we just talked about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers,
That's true.
but I still don't agree with it.
Bruno Mars won top R&B album. Top rap
course.
album was Kendrick Lamar. Top rock album was Imagine Dragons. Basically, anyone that won the single like division won the album division because that's kind of how that works. So, what do you think overall of the awards? We'll wrap this up. What do you think of the winners?
Congrats to Ed Sheeran again. He's a great artist. He's always been a great artist. Most of his stuff is just completely beautiful. The man cares about his music. He has talent, and he knows that he has talent, and he doesn't like force it. Does that make sense? He doesn't try to make an album to sell, because actually, if you look on iTunes, Shape of You, Galway Girl, and what's the other big one from the Divide? Perfect. All of them are actually cheaper than the rest of his songs. He goes the cheapest possible for those.
I think his ability to adapt to different styles of music helps a lot, because Galway Girl and Perfect are like two different styles of songs.
Yeah.
So, for rap artists, R&B, and everything like that, that's kind of what I figured. Bruno Mars is still top of his game. There hasn't been a whole lot of artists that have come out this year that, I look at it and I go, yeah, that's great. You're up and coming. You're doing good. A lot of them have been really trash, especially in the rap and like, I guess if you call it rap, it's more like just making weird noises and repeating yourself. It just doesn't feel like there's an impactful community, because everybody's coming up on YouTube and coming up on SoundCloud. And it's like, that's not how we used to do it back in the days. And I feel like they're polluting the industry with just junk. What do you think, Kel?
Congrats to all the winners. I'm still wondering why didn't that make it in last year? I guess I should do some digging. And then, yeah, congrats to everyone. I'm sure I guess I should listen to the Chainsmokers, because apparently they're really good. And yeah, that's my thoughts. I was
gonna say, the only artist I feel like I forgot about, Childish Gambino, who's gonna be our new solo. Well, not solo, but he's gonna be in the solo movie. He's mentioned a few times, but he didn't win any awards, which I feel like after really listening to him, I loved him when he was on TV shows. He's a great actor, wonderful actor. And music-wise, he's got a lot of talent, but I feel like he's under the radar with everything he does. He gets in the spotlight, and everyone's like, oh, that's so great. And then he disappears. And it's like, he doesn't get that much respect that he needs. I know there's probably going to be a big talk about came out with This Is America, but I feel like that's not so much a song, it's more of a message. Yeah. I don't think it's an award-worthy song.
And also the music video the visuals in the music video land harder than the song itself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is what I'm saying. It's a message, it's not so much a song.
I think if you heard the song by itself, you'd be like, oh, okay. It's cool.
It needs that music video. Whereas some of his other songs, like Sober, the song itself is beautiful, but adding that music video on there is just another layer. All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. If you're listening to the iTunes version, you will hear an interview after this I did with the crew for the piece. If you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on YouTube, since we don't have video going today, we'll be wrapping it up. So thank you for listening. This has been Jordan.
And Jared.
And Kale.
and he's breaking out. Sorry, the audio for this week is still a little shaky. We're still trying to figure things out. We tried to go with the soundboard and microphone to fix things. Let us know in the comments how we can try to fix it or how to make it better. We're still trying to improve. And if you like this episode, leave a like and comment. We love hearing feedback. We'll even give you a shout out if you give us a good comment or a good rating on there. So once again, this is Jordan. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week.